The USS Iowa is often remembered as the ship that carried President Franklin Roosevelt to the Tehran Conference in 1943. But, that's kind of like remembering Muhammad Ali for his draft card. Iowa was not a presidential yacht. She was a revolutionary piece of naval engineering that changed how battleships fought. And honestly, her real breakthroughs had nothing to do with politics. Most people know she carried 9 16-inch guns. What they don't know is that those guns could fire a 2,700-pound shell 23 miles and hit a target the size of a garage. But you see, the groundbreaking part was not the caliber. It was the speed. Iowa was designed to do 33 knots. In practice, she hit over 35, faster than many World War II destroyers. That speed came from a hull form so radical that naval architects at the time actually called it a gamble. The gamble was the bow. Most battleships had blunt, bulbous fronts to handle heavy seas. Iowa's designers gave her a long, sharp, flared bow, almost like a destroyer's, to reduce drag at high speed. The trade-off was stability. In rough weather, that bow dug into waves instead of riding over them. Sailors on the Iowa learned to hate that bow during winter patrols off Norway. Water came over the deck like a waterfall. The forward anchor chain locker flooded so often they kept a pump running continuously. But when the ship needed to sprint, chasing a German raider or dodging a submarine, that same bow let her outrun almost anything afloat. The speed required power. Iowa's 4 General Electric turbines produced 212,000 shaft horsepower, more than the entire United States Navy's destroyer fleet back in 1940. That power came from 8 boilers running at 600 pounds per square inch, a pressure that would have been considered, honestly, suicidal on earlier battleships. One boiler explosion in 1944 killed 3 men and blew a hole through 2 decks. The Iowa kept fighting. What the blueprints do not show is the human cost of that speed. Firemen in the boiler rooms worked 4-hour shifts in temperatures exceeding 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Men passed out from heat exhaustion regularly. The Navy's solution was to hose them down with cold salt water and, send them back down. But the Iowa's most overlooked breakthrough was not speed or firepower. It was armor layout. Previous battleships stacked armor in layers, belt, deck, bulkheads. Iowa used an internal armored box, a citadel, that protected only the vital spaces. Everything outside that box, crew quarters, mess halls, even the captain's cabin, was essentially expendable. That design saved weight, and saved weight meant more speed. But it also meant that a hit to the unarmored bow could flood the ship without sinking it. A lesson the British learned the hard way with the Hood. Iowa's designers sacrificed crew comfort for combat survival. It was cold logic, and it worked. The Tehran Conference voyage in 1943 exposed a different kind of problem. The destroyer escort William D. Porter accidentally fired a live torpedo at the Iowa with Roosevelt on board. The torpedo missed. The Iowa's response was not to return fire. It was to turn hard into the torpedo's path, reducing the target profile, and increase speed to 33 knots. That maneuver, executed in under 90 seconds, required the helmsman and the engine room to coordinate faster than any drill had ever demanded. They did it because they had practiced. The Iowa crew drilled for torpedo evasion more than any other battleship crew in the fleet. The ship's luck finally ran out in 1989, long after most battleships had become museums. An explosion in the number 2 turret killed 47 sailors. The cause was eventually ruled as static electricity igniting loose powder, a design flaw in the powder handling system that had existed since 1943. Every Iowa-class battleship had that flaw. No one had fixed it because, well, no one had thought to look. The Iowa was decommissioned for the last time in 1990. She now sits in the port of Los Angeles, open to visitors. You can walk her decks, touch her guns, and stand in the bridge where Roosevelt watched a torpedo miss him by 500 yards. What the Iowa taught naval designers is still visible on every modern warship. The emphasis on speed over armor, the protected citadel, the relentless drilling for worst-case scenarios. Those lessons came from a ship that was actually obsolete the day she was launched. Aircraft carriers had already made battleships kings of nothing. But obsolescence does not mean useless. Iowa served for nearly 50 years because her core design was sound enough to adapt. That is the difference between a groundbreaking ship and a historical footnote. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper.